Hello everyone. We are delighted to welcome you all to a new episode of How You Got Placed, also known as HYP Season 5. Today, I, Anshu Joshi, will be the host for this episode. Today we have with us Tushar Guha sir and Shweta Chaurasia ma'am, each unique with their own achievements and accolades. So without any further ado, let's start. So to begin with, I would like to ask both of you to give a short intro about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Shweta Chaurasia. I'm a final year IPG MTech student at IIIT Gwalior. I have done my summer internship at Amazon India. Prior to that, I have also done 6-month internship as SD intern at InterviewBit India. Currently, I hold offer from Amazon and winter internship offer from Mercari, Japan. Yeah.
So, hi, my name is Tushar, and I'm a final year student at IPG MBA 2018 batch. I currently hold an offer, full-time offer from DE Shaw and winter internship offer from Mercari, Japan. And I have previously been selected in programs like Google Summer of Code and MLH Fellowship. I have also interned at companies like Shipshi and Pratilipi. So, yeah, that's my story.
So my first question is to Tushar sir. Sir, as we know, you are an upcoming intern at Mercari and you are currently placed at DE Shaw. You have also interned at multiple companies such as Shipsi, Pratilipi and Zubi in the past. So please tell us about your experience working at these organizations and how one should prepare himself or herself to do better in the interviews.
Yeah, so particularly talking about each of the organizations, I would say every experience I had as an intern, I would say I learned a lot. With every internship, I gained something that I wasn't having earlier. Either it be knowledge, either it be confidence, either it be communication skills. All these things gathered all together throughout these internships. And specifically talking about how one should prepare about this interview of any of these companies. So I guess there are three major cases, I would say, where a student should focus. One is the core subjects. And second is the development field, how good and how knowledgeable you are in the development skills. And the third is data structures and algorithm. And all of these are equally important. And there can be instances where any of the interview focuses on DSA or core subjects or on development skills. But all of these things are important if you want to crack any MNC or startup or big company. For say, you can start with my first internship, Zubi. So there, my general projects, I had built some projects initially. So those skills were used during my interview. And then I interned at Pratilipi. So there as well, my DSA skills as well as my development skills were used a lot. And after that, the recent internship that I did at Shipsi, there also I have to first go through a round of data structures and algorithms where the questions were from medium to hard lead code. And the second round was basically built on the JavaScript and all the skills that I have to use during my internship. Apart from that, I would also say there are a few other offers that I cracked at Rakuten and at that Celestica. So at these companies, I was majorly asked about the core subjects. And talking about the recent one, the DE Shaw, there I was in the OA round. I was asked a question based on DSA and all other aptitude question as well. So the DSA part was very much used during that phase because I was good in dynamic programming, so I was able to go through that question easily. And in the interviews, there were a lot of grilling questions based on the core subjects like computer networks, operating systems. And since I have already worked on some of these concepts during my earlier internships, I had some experience to back my theoretical knowledge. So that was also beneficial from there. And talk about the recent one more internship that I have in the winter, that is Mercari. There also I have it was majorly based on the development skills. That was not much based on data structures and algorithm, but development skills were used a lot. So I would say all of the three things, data structures, algorithms, development skills and core subjects, all three are used a lot during interviews. So one should just prepare and give focus on all three subjects. Yeah.
So, Shweta ma'am, you were a part of Build Mercari apprenticeship and are an upcoming intern in the same. You too have interned at InterviewBit and Amazon in the past, and you were able to convert Amazon internship into full-time offer. So, kindly tell us about your apprenticeship program and about your interview experiences.
Yeah, sure. So, I have interned at various companies like Amazon and InterviewBit. So, like Mercari, Amazon, and InterviewBit, all were off-campus opportunities for me. Talking about the Amazon interview experience, so I had like one. Technical interview round. In that, I was asked medium to hard DSA question, which I had to solve in 45 minutes. Talking about my interview bit experience, so it was very different from Amazon's. It was mix up of both DSA and development. So there were 3 rounds, I guess. Yeah, in the first round I was asked DSA medium level questions. Then I was given a development assessment, which I had to it was a full stack application basically, which I had to make in 24 hours and submit to them. After I submitted the online assessment part, then I had a development interview, which was focused on the assignment that I did and questions related to that tech stack and additional things that I could have added in the assignment. And the third round was managerial round. Talking about the Mercari interview experience, so yeah, it was also different from these two. I had to live made API in front of them. Then I was asked many questions around development. Then the second interview was managerial, where they Mercari's manager, he asked me it was around 1 hour interview, and he created many situations, and I had to answer accordingly. Apart from interviews vary from company to company, right? So apart from these, I also had offers during my internship time. I had offers from Intuit and Morgan Stanley also. And the interview experience was completely different. Intuit focused very much into core subjects, but and Morgan Stanley system design was asked in it. So it totally depends on the company you are interviewing, from the number of rounds and everything. But there is two way of preparing: the long term preparation and the short term preparation. For the long term preparation, you should focus on what is your interest field. DSA is important, very much important, and during your academics you can focus on the core subjects. And then the short term preparation is during long term preparation, how you prepare your notes, or what are the important questions that you can revise during the interview, before the interview, and everything. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is to both of you. You both have made a lot of contributions in open source. Tushar sir, you have completed your GSOC at Bench Routes and are an MLH fellow. Shweta ma'am, you are also an MLH fellow. So please tell us how one should approach these coveted programs or open source in general.
Yeah, so first of all, I guess I should say something about what is an open source. So open source, you can say it is as a open community where different organizations put their code for public to read and understand. So for example, you can say Linux is an open source software, so its code is actually available, and there are a lot of other organizations whose codes are actually publicly available. And why is this open source community available? Because there are a lot of developers, and developers in their apart from their full-time job, they can also contribute to different interesting projects, and where they can apply and increase their knowledge. So that is the main purpose of the open source. And open source is actually a very good resource for the new beginners to learn more and know more about the knowledge of any technology they are using. So it must happen with a lot of beginners that they are starting to learn something, and after a time they are just having a blockage of what to learn more. So open source can provide a way that they can open any organization's code base using that particular tech stack, and they can see what all they are doing and what more their possibilities are. So that's a good way to learn through open source. Now I will move towards the how and what is GSOC. So GSOC is basically an open source program that is sponsored by Google, and it provides a platform where different open source organizations actually participate. So first, organizations have to participate in the GSOC, and then students will apply to those organizations who are selected in the GSOC. So that is how this whole GSOC process works, and there will be a few tenure of the period. It could be recently there have been changes. There have been short-term projects and long-term projects. So there will be some tenure for around 3 months where the student will work on a particular project, and then he have to submit what work he has done during that 3 months period. So yeah, so mine was in a bench route organization. It was basically an remote API monitoring service, and I worked there on Golang technology, and I worked on some I used OS concepts and different core subject concepts. So as I already said that since I have already used this course concepts in my GSOC period, so I later on had my experience backing up the theoretical knowledge that I had. So that's what I would say, that GSOC, I would say, first of all, one person should actually target one organization, what technology he wants to pursue during that 3 months, and then he can just look into the code base, start knowing whatever is written in the code base. Don't even contribute anything, just learn what is happening in the code base, and with period you will know what is happening, what you can add, and later on you can add proposals for the GSOC, and if your proposal is selected, you can now work on that project for 3 months.
Adding on to what Tushar said related to open source, like for the beginners, what you can do is after selecting any organization of your choice, you can just simply go to the issues part of that organization and select simple issues to solve. Then you can also contact the maintainers. They are very helpful because they also want that good developers contribute to their projects. So you can ask them for the resources. Then with gradually go to the more complex issues, try to solve them, and that's how you'll grow and understand the code base better. Now coming to the MLH fellowship. It has started 2-3 years back only, but it is a very prestigious fellowship program. And about MLH fellowship, so your application is very important, the part of the MLH in the selection of MLH fellowship. What project you have made, like when you'll apply for the MLH fellowship, there will be 2 parts, the essay part and the project that you submit in the MLH fellowship. So if you have a good project that you can showcase in the application, that is a very plus point. And you should also know how to write good essays that can like show whatever you have done and what you tend to do, why you want to be part of it. So these skills are very important for your application selection. Then comes there will be 2 interviews. At my time there were 2 interviews. I'm not sure about the current scenario. So the first part was they'll ask you why you are a good fit. They want to know why you are a good fit for MLH fellowship, because other fellows will be from all over the world. So you should be collaborative with them. And the second interview will be based on the project that you have submitted. You have to explain them your project, and they'll ask questions around it. So after getting selected into MLH fellowship, there will be like small pods of about, I think, 10 to 20 members, and they will be from all over the world. So you'll learn like how to collaborate, how to communicate. There will be a lot of one-on-ones. You will have a pod leader, and you will collaboratively work on a project in like open source, of course. And you will also there will be time zone difference because people are from all over the world. So you'll also learn how to like manage time and work together. Yeah.
So adding on to the previous question, you both are 4-star on CodeChef and have solved more than 400 questions on LeetCode. At the same time, you have also explored various fields in development. So how did you manage to achieve such amazing feats in CP while enhancing your development skills?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that question first. So before coming to college, I was not from CS background. So yeah, first year of my college life was like I was totally working on building my logical skills and learning new programming language and going through the DSA concepts and like exploring things basically. So after the end of the first year, yeah, I can say that I had little knowledge. Yeah, okay, I can go for other preparation and deep dive into other things. First year was totally spent on building things in my mind. It was like sometimes overwhelming because people from CS background, so they knew a lot from us. So yeah, performance wise we had to work more harder. But then in this second year I spent most of the time, I think, in the development phase only. I tried a lot of web development, Android development, many things, open source also. And in the third year, in the start of the third year, I was like completely focused on DSA, because I knew that from the start of the third year companies will start to come, opportunities will be there. So I had to completely focus on what is required for the interview. So I spent most of the time in the DSA preparation, giving coding contest and everything. Fortunately, in the start of the third year only, I got internship at Intuit, so like things were little light for me. So then I also started into my intern at Interview Bit. So DSA and other things that were important for interview and my intern were going parallelly. So I had to manage things between them. Whenever I got time, I practiced DSA. Like I was in continuous preparation. I didn't lose touch of DSA, because I knew that then it will take again to start from the beginning. So this was my journey. After my third year, everything is going parallelly only. Whenever I get time, I do development. Whenever I want, I do DSA. But yeah, I always, like before any interview, I always I take to 1.5 months to completely prepare for that interview.
Yeah, so talking about my own personal experience, in the first year itself, I also agree with Shweta that I had no background of CS. So initially, it was hard for me to build any logic around programming and even just write even odd question, even odd problems. So initially, I have to give myself some time to learn the languages, to learn the logics and all these parts. And at the same time, there was an overwhelming amount of events going on around. So there was Hindi Pakhwada, there was some other event going, Pictionary, and I was participating each of the events, and I didn't had time to focus on any particular one thing. So I guess that's the beauty of the first year, that you get so many things at once and you have the chance to do it all. So yeah, my first year went by like this. I participated in different events. I was also volunteering in fest in Fotsav technical fest. So there, and after all these things, I was also focusing on building up my CGPA as well, because in the initial year, if you could just build your CGPA up to a decent level, from my first year as well, I kept my CGPA above 8, so that till now I haven't been able to get below 8. So that was because initially I did the work, and later I didn't have to do that much of work. Okay, so now moving to the second year, I was in our college, and there was happening some event called Webkriti from ASF. So I just participated in that event, and to just build anything, you have to learn actually something. So we started learning web development because it was trending in our college at that time. So we just started learning CSS, HTML, and MERN stack, all these technologies, and just built anything. And during that procedure, I just got an adrenaline rush that okay, I am loving these things and I want to explore more. So I just started exploring more and more, and by the end of second year, I was able to get an internship in an edtech startup, and I was there as a varied role, because I built whole microservices as well. I built the front end of web applications, of the mobile applications, and I was learning and building at the same time. So there was not like time that I was taking a lot of time to learn and then I will prepare myself and then execute the work. I was doing it simultaneously, and that's what I guess everyone should do, so that they don't take a lot of time in preparing. And in the middle of the third year, I was having a good enough amount of development skill, but I was just got introduced to open source community, and I saw there was a lot of potential in this community, and I could learn a lot of new things that I haven't been able to touch till now. So that way I just started to aim for GSOC and later on MLH as well, and fortunately I got selected for both of these programs, Google Summer of Code and MLH fellowships. And after all this time I understood that okay, I have built a decent level of I would say development skills, but I was very little focused on the data structure algorithm till now. So I had a little knowledge, but now I thought that since the interviews of the big companies are asking a lot of questions from DSA, and that are from medium to hard level of questions, so I actually have to prepare for all those questions. Particularly not just as a part-time. So I just started targeting lead code, and I just did a lot of lead code, just did all questions twice, thrice, and just learned all these concepts from DSA. So this was a period, I would say about 6 to 7 months, that I just kept on coding, leaving everything else. And I would say lockdown helped me a lot in this phase, because there was total isolation, and I was able to give my whole 100% towards DSA. So once I just built my base level of DSA and I had the knowledge, now I thought now I could go towards competitive programming as well, to speed up my knowledge and to diversify my portfolio as well as a resume. You have to actually sell yourself. So you have to have all the skills from development to coding. So I just went for Code Chef, and I just loved the CP platform as well. So yeah, I would say after that, since I had a good enough threshold of in both the domains, so I was able to then balance both of those simultaneously, like sometime this and sometime that. So I would say yeah, that was my journey, and this is what anyone can do. I won't say that this is what you should do, because everyone has a unique journey, but you can try this path.
Thank you.
I would like to add one more thing. There are two kind of person, I believe, who are very much focused on competitive programming, and one who likes doing development. So if you want to have a competitive programming profile, then decent projects will work for you. But if you want to go into development, then try to have good projects, good internship experiences, and also hackathons work for me. I have participated in many hackathons, held good ranks in them. So my profile, during interviews and everything, always shine due to my internship experiences, my hackathons experiences, my projects. I had more development inclined profile, and competitive programming and good knowledge of DSA always helped me.
So moving on to a general question. Recently we have been hearing a lot about economic recession and the mass layoffs by big companies such as Meta and Microsoft and so on. So what are your views on this?
Yeah, I would say that's a very important question to answer. And yeah, so recession is very bad for any economy. And we can say it as a bad luck that we are recently suffering through this time. And companies are, I won't say companies are the one to blame, because they have to respond to this recession, and they are doing this by cutting off their workforce. And but I would just let everyone understand this, that recession is not for always here, and it's going to end. And when it's going to end, the one who has the more skill and more knowledge will get the tickets first. And that's what I would suggest, that instead of worrying about what time it is, what is happening with this, you should just focus on yourself and upskill yourself right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with Tushar. It is very understandable that if you don't have a job offer in your final year, and if you are struggling for the internship in your pre-final year, it is a very depressing time. But yeah, don't worry. It is not, some says that peak of recession yet has to come, but okay, let's say if you don't have a job, then try कि पढ़ते रहो ताकि जब opportunity मिले you can grab it and keep a hold on it. And even if you have a job, like us also, we should try कि अभी भी touch ना छूटे, करते रहे, because never know यार कब क्या हो जाए. Today we have offer and tomorrow we don't. So yeah, वी कैन ट्राई कि अभी भी करते रहें प्रिपरेशन, ताकि अगर कुछ वर्स सिनेरियो भी आए देन ऑल्सो इतना तो प्रिपेयर है कि कोई अगर फिर उसके बाद अपॉर्चुनिटी आए तो स्टार्ट से ना स्टार्ट करना पड़े देन.
तो मैं भी एक चीज़ ऐड करना चाहूँगा इसमें कि आई एग्री विद श्वेता कि अपॉर्चुनिटी कभी भी आ सकती है तुमको, एंड तुमको नहीं पता रहेगा कब आ गया. सो यू कुड हैव होप फॉर वन पर्टिकुलर थिंग कि ये कंपनी आएगी या ये कंपनी की ओपनिंग आएगी एंड मैं इसमें परफॉर्म करूँगा, एंड सडनली दैट कंपनी जस्ट फ्रीजेस देयर हायरिंग प्रोसेस. So there is no predictability in the form of job space, and you have to be just up straight and available for any opportunity that comes to your door. Okay, just grab any of the opportunity that comes to your door and be aware of the situation, what's happening around you. Just don't focus on okay मुझे DS से घिसना है, मेरे को डेवलपमेंट में ये फाड़ना है, मेरे को वो करना है, and you're just aren't aware of what's happening around you. You aren't aware कि कौन सी कंपनी अभी जॉब का वो निकाली है, एंड इवन पीपल who have less knowledge than you या comparable to your knowledge would get selected because you weren't aware of that opportunity. So just be aware as well, and that's a very important factor for, I would say, in BCS in the last 2 years, for BCS in the 3rd, 4th year, for the IPG courses in the 4th, 5th year. Last 2 years are very important in terms of awareness, because that's the time where a lot of opportunities open to you and you aren't actually aware to those opportunities.
So the final question, how important is academics and the role of CGPA in general? How can one maintain a good CGPA while developing their skills, technical skills?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like right from the school हमारे ऐसा ही mindset होता है कि marks लाने हैं, but college life में ऐसा नहीं होता है. Maintaining a decent CGPA is good enough. Like for most of the companies, I think above 7.5 CGPA works, but try to maintain your CGPA in your first and second years, because priorities change when you come to 3rd year. You will be focused more on the whatever is your aim. But I would say if your aim is to go for the higher studies, then you should have a very good above 8.5 या 9, I would say. And अपने फैकल्टीज से भी अच्छा कांटेक्ट रखना रिकमेंडेशन वगैरह में काफ़ी हेल्प करेगा, तो वो अच्छा है, करो. एंड ऑल्सो इन योर फर्स्ट एंड सेकेंड ईयर्स द सब्जेक्ट दैट यू स्टडी दैट आर रियली आस्क्ड इन द इंटरव्यू, सो यू कैन फोकस ऑन दो सब्जेक्ट वाइल मेंटेन, दे विल हेल्प इन योर इंक्रीज इन योर CGPA.
So my perspective on this is that academics is the CGPA part, I would say, and the next part is the skills that you gather that are required in the job space. Okay, so these both things may come simultaneous, may not come simultaneous, so it's up to you. Okay, so while you are studying academics, there are some core subjects like OOPS, computer networks, operating system. These are in your syllabus and you are going to study them, and these are also going to be questions of some of your interviews as well. So if you are preparing at the time when you are studying in your academic course, so it would be very easy for you to just revise these concepts while the final years for the interviews. So I would say keep an eye for those subjects, and maintaining a decent CGPA is also very important point, because a lot of company have criteria for the students to be even available for the interview. So that is generally 7.5, but for some companies it could be even 8 CGPA. So I would say just try to maintain the CGPA above 8 or 7.5, and it is very easy if you are focusing on in the initial years like first and second years. So if you are maintaining a CGPA of 8.5 or 8 in the first second year, it's really very hard for you to go below 7.5 after the final year if you are even performing poor or mediocre in the academics. So I would say focus focus on the CGPA in the initial years and focus on upskilling and gathering knowledge throughout the course, throughout the engineering period, but more towards the latter years, so that at that time your priority should be more on the skills, because skills are the things that are going to get you in the job, and CGPA is the criteria that you have to fulfill for that. And I also agree with Shweta that for those who are going to study, go to want for higher studies, so CGPA is a criteria for there as well. They have to have a 8.59 CGPA, so that if that is your goal, then you should focus on the CGPA part as well. So yeah, that's it.
Also, one more thing, if you have like less CGPA, less than 7, 6.5, then also don't worry, it's not the end for you. There are many companies for whom CGPA doesn't matter, so target those companies. But yeah, for like freshers, first, second years, try to maintain good CGPA. Okay.
So as we come to the end of the session, we would like to express our gratitude for taking out your time and giving such insightful answers. I hope our viewers got their answers. So we'll be back with a new episode very soon. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you guys. All the best.
All the best.